How's it going? Welcome to another video, and a video with a wee bit of a difference. I figured, well, first of all, I needed a little bit of fresh air to get out of the house, so I'm in the confines of my truck in a rather empty car park, as far away from people as I possibly can. And I decided I thought I might delve into the subject of photography or art, copyright, and the abuse that sometimes follows when you post things online. Many moons ago, when my family was smaller, there was just me, my wife and our daughter, and she was only about a year old, maybe less than that actually. Like many new parents, navigating the minefield of parenthood and all the best ways are thrown at you to listen to advice from family and friends, online sources et al. And well, some can be dismissed immediately and some could be mined for good advice. It became clear quickly that your instinct is normally quite good, and as my parent advice now is, make sure you have a fast boil kettle and don't take anybody's advice. The reason for this preamble is that one of the parenting tools made aware to us was the use of slings, the baby thing, were very, very popular globally and historically, and was much a part of tribal life as anything else. A secure way to carry your child, whilst keeping it close and safe and warm from the outside elements. Now, traditionally it was worn by the woman or the mother, and its ease for quickness and feeding and all the apparent and the rest. But in recent times, modernisation and designs for the trendy parents and an opportunity for fathers of the world to simulate, however tedious, the feeling of carrying a baby like a mother would. And I was one of those fathers. I love my wrap. The child's head nestled against your chest and all wrapped up close to me. I could walk freely with a sense of pride and responsibility. Something I'd never really felt before, It made me feel awesome. It made me feel so awesome that the wrap we had was a gift from a friend, to try it out. And we enjoyed it so much that we sourced an online company who were renowned for their lengthy and well-made wraps. So we set about the task of picking something that would play to our needs and our stylish wants. And when it arrived, we were so pleased and excited that we could use, a time-long tradition of nurturing our child with a carrying mechanism that was, in our opinion, bonding, safe, and quite trendy, albeit that I'm not really that trendy. Anyway, now that we've had the backstory, we head into the territory that is relation to the photography, media, the law, and your own mental health when you share something with the world. Granted, the world is a subjective term, depending on what, where, who, and why you post something online. But when you share anything on the internet, it becomes a thing of scrutiny, criticism, likes, loves, wants, discussions, arguments, you name it. It happens all, you just replace the subject matter with whatever you want, and there'll be a visceral opinion for and against it. The reason I'm using the story of the baby wrap is through a friend, through a friend. A company that supplied our wrap had a photographer who wanted to do a photo shoot. Now, she'd previously worked with my wife, so we knew who she was, and it was a passion project, and was now wondering if God had her touched a parental wrap shoot. As our particular wrap was, Celtic in colour and design, she asked whether a Scottish brave Disney film thing reference, would work. And instead of just my wife, she thought maybe a family portrait would be nice, and asked if, we might fancy a wee bit dress up. God, it's getting cold. So we agreed to a period style piece. My wife in a big dress, flowing shawl, and me in a kilt with woodland backgrounds, etc. Now at this stage, I'm cool with it all. There's nothing untoward here, and we are merely memorialising our parentage with our daughter, all together as a new family. There's no fee, no paperwork, it's all friends and stuff, and if anything, the image may get used as part of the sling wrap company, as part of Fathers Who Wear Sling promotion, you know, letting the men of the world see it's okay to get involved. Their idea was, if an angry, hairy Scottish dude could do this, then, you know, it's a call to everyone else to let their inhibitions go and get closer. The rain's coming on now. Get closer to your children, and I was okay with all of that. The shoot, however, was a pain in the arse. My daughter was awake, and the carrying wasn't making her sleepy, it was just making her angry, and it wasn't for drifting off. So I spent the best part of a couple of hours in the blazing heat, wearing wool, and walking her back and forth until she eventually fell asleep. Where we got the family shot. The second shot is the dreamy shot, the father alone and looking after his own, which was also a great success. The last shot, however, was an accident. While it isn't apparent, the location was Holyrood Park in Edinburgh, just behind Holyrood Palace, you know, where the Queen's back garden. And there was a sponsored run-on for cancer. And there were tens of thousands of women in pink running all the way through it on the main drag where we were, who saw me dressed in a kilt, carrying a baby. Oh, well, you can imagine the rest. So it was, you know, anyway, it wasn't their fault, and they wanted to know what was going on, and I was just getting tired, and I was becoming very irritable. Much more than usual, I would say. But the photographer was blissfully unaware of any of this. I just wanted one more shot as I paced. My wife signalled this would be the last shot, and I should look straight down the lens and be a proud dad. Here it is. This is more pissed off and raging as far as I'm concerned. Many others I see smoulder, or any other endearing term for which this looks. But that was it. And we could retire for the day and enjoy the rest of the sun. Now, the picture was used on Facebook marketing, on the Sling Company's Facebook page, and I was included in a calendar, and, you know, in Germany for Dads Who Rock, or Hot Dads, or something like that. But the money raised from that was going to a charity, and we were all good with that. It's fine, cool. And besides that, even if none of that happened, we still had these memorable shots with my daughter, very unique to us, and we never did anything like that with my son, more's the pity. And that was that. Or so I thought. That whole monologue took place at some point in 2014 when my daughter was around 8 months old or something like that. It would be another 3 years before this shoot reared its head back out into the light of day. And this is where we talk about the law. Permissions, and why, as a creator, either a photographer, a model, a painter, or, you know, whatever, any creator, if you make something for you or someone else and there is a possibility it could get shared around, then you need to be in control, or at least know where you stand, so you can rain down hellfire on the bastards who would be detrimental towards you. Now, as a disclaimer, I am more than comfortable with my work, with the work that I create, and the work that I peer in by others to defend myself from trolls. It happens sometimes. Friends and family can poke fun at you when pictures of your youth pop up and they say things, and if you're comfortable with that, then that's fine. If you're not, then I suggest you don't post anything, ever. Anywhere. Most creators enjoy the revel of exhibitioning and, you know, not cavorting naked. That's what I mean. Well, dripping beans and jelly all over yourself. Anyway, in 2017, and on Twitter and on Facebook, I get tagged in a photo that someone has taken of a newsstand miles away from me on the publication Green Parent. And lo and behold, guess who the cover model is? Yep, it's me. That's me, front and centre with my daughter, with all my smoulder for the world to see. Now, I'm aware that this particular publication isn't at the dizzying heights of Vogue or the likes, and up until this video, you've probably never heard of it, unless you're an aged hippie, modern parent, hipster vegan, or some other member of the bun fraternity. But a publication, nonetheless, a worldwide one at that. So the grey areas of copyright now come into effect. First off, I wasn't overly bothered by the publication. What pissed me off was the consent. Secondly, I'm aware of copyright, the law, how it works, and how very fine and mundane the legislation in the UK is to smaller works or art or the likes. And if I were to open a shop called Starbucks, for example, and cup for cup copied a brand, then I'd be right in the shit. But a photographer who takes an image with verbal consent, no paperwork, but parties are aware to what it will be used for, then it appears in something that it wasn't used for, well, that definitely favours the creative who took it rather than those who took part. Rightly or wrongly, that's what happens. Now, luckily for me, I have a civil tongue in my head, I can navigate a field of bullshit and use a splendid array of language to convey my point. I'm also Scottish and I can use expletives with a combination of inanimate objects and nouns to get my point across. I'm also married to a lawyer, so that's pretty handy. So from a professional point, and if you're working with someone, you should always have, when suitable, permission, or at least an email, text, or anything that agrees to what you're doing. If you post an image online, make sure you're ready for the rabbit hole, you know, and not having control over it, unless you know how to herd your art in a safe space. Signatures, watermarks, T&Cs on your websites, you know, this section could be a whole video in itself. I contacted the publication and told them who it was and that I knew nothing of the publication, the use of the photo, and the next sentence was crucial, the exploitation of a child in an image or print or digital. I'm aware it wasn't really, but I'm speaking to a lower down the pecking order of staff, and I just needed someone higher up in authority. So I left the number, and within a day, I had the editor on the phone. Now, like I said, I used civility, and with that, I garnered info, gleaned from him with my self-assurance and confidence of a man who is in the right, and it turned out the photographer had sold the image to them. Standard move. Almost like stock photography, you know, someone had a brief, made a call, yada yada, publication gets what they want, and a photo, blah blah blah. Now, in the grand scheme of things, all I really wanted at this point was an apology for not being consulted. Otherwise, I was totally fine with being their poster boy for that issue. And they wholeheartedly apologised and thought that I may have been, they thought I'd been remunerated for it by the photographer and those behind the initial shoot. And after 3 years, you'd think that would have been the case. But any good photographer knows, unless you have signed permission and consent, you know, they didn't have that. So, you know, the company paid me a fee, which was very nice of them. They didn't have to. And they sent me a subscription to the publication, of course, and thanked me for the time I took to calmly sort all this out without legal action and all the other stuff that goes with it. Good job. Everyone is happy, wife was happy with my approach, calm, demeanour, resolving it, all great stuff. Ordinarily, the story would end there. Photo shoot, copyright, infringement, legalities and compromise. But the last part of all of this, especially when there's a person involved, is the judgment of the unknown on the soapbox that is the internet. People who remark, fixate on the untrue, and they make up stories and they share memes, etc., and a lot of models and artists suffer a mental health bombardment after a release of their work, as they've got no real way to deal with the negative backlash. Now, I'm not saying that I suffered at the hands of the internet, and I'm far too thick-skinned to let what I will explain, words of a nobody, to bother me, but it does serve as a lesson, if anything. You see, I told this narrative in a particular way, especially the photo shoot in question, the mood I was in, when the shot was taken. So when the cover of the magazine and a link to the page appears on the satirical site, The Poke, you know the comments won't be kisses and hearts, and the perception will always be the opposite of what was aimed at the audiences in the first place. Twitter was no better. So the point behind all this? Well, a journey that shows and reflects on people, how they react, the best course of action to think, challenge, but to remain positive and don't feel bullied or oppressed in your actions or decisions if they are truly what you want to achieve. Art is an expression of you, and not everyone gets art, and you shouldn't have to explain it. There's a reason why the arts are subcategorised and why there are millions of hobbies and interests to cater to the masses. And when you get tagged in a post because a local Herald newspaper in New Zealand is sporting your face, friends, make sure you know about it. A simple, harmless effort of photography that can easily be manipulated for gain and online mockery. And while I'm not a victim, there are many folks who are not that lucky. And as creators, we should always make sure we act accordingly, and in a professional manner. If not for reputation and repeat business, then for your own integrity of others, or at least not to be a dick. But headbutt that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you all in the next video, and I hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks very much.